Deep in southern Africa lies a kingdom unlike any other, Eswatini. It's one of the smallest nations on the planet, but every year thousands gather for a ritual so mesmerizing it leaves outsiders speechless. A royal dance honoring their king, where tradition, mystery, and beauty. Get ready, you're about to witness one of the world's most extraordinary celebrations. Let's go!
Number 13. King Mswati III and modern polygamy in Eswatini. The current ruler, King Mswati III, inherited more than just a throne from his father. He adopted the tradition of taking multiple wives, currently having 14 spouses and over 30 grandchildren. His marital arrangements exemplify how polygamy functions at the highest levels of Swazi society, where the number of wives serves as a visible marker of status, wealth, and political connections. Each marriage creates alliances between the royal family and different clans or regions. The wives come from various backgrounds, carefully selected to maintain balance and representation across the kingdom. This strategic approach to marriage has deep roots in Swazi political tradition, where matrimonial bonds have always served purposes beyond romance or companionship. Royal weddings become national events, elaborate ceremonies that reinforce the monarchy's centrality to Swazi culture. The king's wives receive designated homesteads and support, living in a compound system that accommodates multiple families within the royal establishment. Children from these unions occupy special positions in society, with princes potentially eligible for succession and princesses maintaining elevated status. Critics of the system point to the expense involved in maintaining such a large royal family, while many citizens struggle with poverty. They question whether resources devoted to royal households might serve the broader population better. Defenders respond that the monarchy represents cultural continuity worth preserving, regardless of cost, and that royal patronage actually distributes wealth through employment and ceremony-related economic activity. The king's polygamous arrangements also connect directly to one of Eswatini's most famous and controversial traditions, the annual reed dance, where he may select new wives from among thousands of young participants.
Number 12. The Swazi people. The Swazi ethnic group dominates Eswatini's demographics, making up roughly 85% of the population. These people belong to the broader Bantu-speaking peoples who migrated southward across Africa centuries ago, eventually settling in this mountainous region and establishing a kingdom under monarchical leadership. Their cultural heritage runs deep, manifesting in traditions that continue to shape daily life across the nation. The Swazi identity solidified during the 17th century as disparate clans united under common leadership. By the 19th century, under King Sobhuza I, they had formed a cohesive political entity with defined territories and organized governance structures. This unification wasn't peaceful. It required military might, strategic alliances, and the kind of fierce determination that would define the Swazi reputation for generations. Warrior culture remains central to Swazi identity even today. Traditional ceremonies frequently feature men dressed in leopard skins and elaborate ornaments that symbolize bravery and ancestral connections. These aren't costumes for tourists. They represent a living link to a past when military prowess determined survival and prosperity. The Swazi developed sophisticated warfare tactics that allowed them to defend their territory against larger forces, earning respect and fear from neighboring groups. Women play an equally vital role in preserving cultural identity, wearing vibrant traditional clothing that showcases the artistic richness of Swazi heritage. The social organization reflects a carefully balanced system where age, lineage, and personal achievement all contribute to one's standing in the community. This structure has proven remarkably resilient, adapting to modern pressures while maintaining core principles that date back centuries. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Are you a naturally curious person? If you're watching, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. This space is made for people like us. To ensure you're always part of this community and receive all our latest discoveries, you just need to do one thing: subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to stay connected with us. Okay, now that you're part of our Legion of the Curious, let's move on to the next item.
Number 11. The Indlovukazi, the Queen Mother's power in Eswatini's government. In Swazi political structure, the Queen Mother holds a position of remarkable authority. Known as Indlovukazi, meaning Great She-Elephant, she serves as a co-ruler alongside the king, embodying maternal power and national unity. The current Queen Mother, mother of King Mswati III, occupies this role and wields influence that extends far beyond ceremonial duties. The Queen Mother doesn't simply represent tradition. She participates actively in governance, advising on major decisions and sometimes exercising veto power over royal actions. Her compound serves as an alternative center of power, a place where citizens can seek audience and where political maneuvering occurs away from the king's immediate court. This dual monarchy system creates checks on absolute royal authority, at least in theory. The king cannot easily ignore his mother's counsel, and her support or opposition can significantly impact policy implementation. The arrangement recognizes maternal authority in ways unusual for political systems globally. During the Omhanga reed dance, the Queen Mother takes center stage. The entire ceremony ostensibly honors her, with thousands of young women performing in tribute to her position and the maternal principle she represents. She observes the proceedings, sometimes interacting with participants and blessing the event with her presence. Succession rules give the Queen Mother ongoing importance beyond any individual holder of the position. When a king dies, the Queen Mother helps select his successor from among his sons, wielding significant influence over who will next hold absolute power. This role ensures that even as kings change, the institution of the Queen Mother provides continuity and stability. The position also serves symbolic functions, representing fertility, national motherhood, and the nurturing aspect of authority that balances the king's more martial associations.
Number 10. Umhlanga, the reed dance ceremony held every September. Every September, Eswatini hosts Umhlanga, the reed dance ceremony that draws international attention and controversy in equal measure. Tens of thousands of young Swazi women travel from across the nation to participate in this multi-day event held at the royal palace. The ceremony honors the Queen Mother, a figure who holds special significance in Swazi political and cultural life, as a symbol of national unity and maternal strength. The tradition has ancient roots, originally serving as a coming-of-age ritual, where young women demonstrated their readiness for marriage and community responsibility. Over time, it evolved to include the possibility that the king might choose new wives from among the dancers, adding a dimension that ensures intense interest and participation. For weeks before the ceremony, participants prepare their choreography and traditional attire. The preparation itself becomes a bonding experience, as women from different regions come together, practice coordinated movements, and share in the anticipation of the main event. On the ceremony's opening days, participants venture into surrounding areas to harvest reeds, which they carry back to the palace in symbolic tribute. The physical labor of cutting and transporting reeds represents community service and respect for the Queen Mother. Once gathered at the palace, the real spectacle begins. Dressed in colorful traditional skirts, beaded accessories, and often bare-breasted as custom dictates, the women perform synchronized dances before the royal family and assembled spectators. The choreography combines athleticism with cultural expression, movements passed down through generations that tell stories without words.
Number 9. Eswatini's absolute monarchy. Political parties banned since 1973. Eswatini operates under a system most countries abandoned generations ago. The king holds total power over government decisions, legal matters, and national policy. No elected representatives can challenge his authority. Political parties remain banned, a prohibition that ensures no organized opposition can emerge to contest royal decrees. This arrangement places Eswatini in a vanishingly small category of nations worldwide. The king's word becomes law without passing through legislative debate or judicial review. This concentration of authority extends to immunity from prosecution, meaning the monarch cannot be held legally accountable for any actions. Supporters of the system argue it preserves cultural authenticity and prevents the chaos they associate with competitive politics. They point to the king's role as a unifying figure who transcends factional interests. In their view, the monarchy embodies continuity and stability in a region that has seen its share of political upheaval. Critics paint a different picture. They describe a system that stifles dissent, prevents meaningful political participation, and concentrates wealth and power in the hands of a tiny elite. Calls for democratic reforms have grown louder in recent years, sometimes erupting into protests that authorities have suppressed with varying degrees of force. The tension between tradition and modernization defines contemporary Eswatini. The king navigates pressure from citizens demanding change while maintaining support from those who benefit or believe in the current system. Parliamentary elections do occur, but without political parties, candidates run as individuals in a process many observers describe as democratic theater rather than genuine representation.
Number 8. Mbabane and Lobamba, Eswatini's two capital cities. Eswatini operates with two capitals, serving different functions. Mbabane serves as the administrative capital, housing government offices and diplomatic missions. Lobamba functions as the royal and legislative capital, where the parliament meets and many traditional ceremonies occur. This dual capital system reflects the ongoing balance between modern governance and traditional authority. Mbabane sits in the mountainous western region, its elevation providing cooler temperatures than the low-veld areas. The city has grown significantly since independence, with modern buildings rising alongside older structures. Markets throughout Mbabane offer glimpses into daily Swazi life, with vendors selling everything from fresh produce to traditional crafts. Urban life in Mbabane differs markedly from rural existence. People work formal jobs in government, business, or services rather than farming or herding. Western clothing predominates over traditional dress, except during ceremonies. Young people gather in cafes and bars, consuming global culture through smartphones and internet connections. Yet traditional values persist even in urban settings. Extended family relationships remain crucial, with urban workers often supporting rural relatives financially. Polygamy occurs in cities just as in villages, though perhaps with more discretion. Traditional healers operate alongside modern medical facilities, serving clients who seek spiritual solutions to problems or prefer familiar cultural approaches to healing. Lobamba holds different significance as the site of royal palaces and traditional ceremonies. The Umhlanga reed dance takes place here, as do other events central to Swazi cultural life. The National Museum and Cultural Village offer visitors structured introductions to Swazi history and traditions. The parliamentary buildings in Lobamba host elected representatives who debate legislation within the constraints of the political system. Sessions can become heated as members advocate for their regions and interests, even though final authority rests with the king rather than the legislative body.
Number 7. Visiting Eswatini and contemporary challenges. Travelers reaching Eswatini typically fly into Mtsapa International Airport or cross land borders from South Africa or Mozambique. The airport offers limited international connections, so many visitors route through Johannesburg before making the short flight into the kingdom. Visa requirements vary by nationality, with many Western countries' citizens able to enter without advance permission for stays up to 90 days. Getting around presents few difficulties on main roads, which receive regular maintenance and connect major destinations. Secondary roads can deteriorate significantly, particularly during rainy seasons when flooding and erosion create hazards. Vehicle rental provides independence, though taxi services operate in urban areas for those preferring not to drive. Security concerns require attention. Crime rates, particularly theft and robbery, exceed comfortable levels in some areas. Travelers should avoid displaying expensive items, stay in groups when possible, and exercise caution after dark. These precautions apply especially in urban centers, where poverty and inequality create desperation that manifests in property crime. Political tensions have escalated recently as pro-democracy movements challenge the absolute monarchy. Protests have occasionally turned violent, with security forces responding aggressively to demonstrations. The government restricts internet access during periods of unrest, attempting to prevent organization and limit documentation of official responses. Travelers should monitor local news and heed warnings from their embassies. Despite challenges, Eswatini offers remarkable experiences unavailable elsewhere. The combination of accessible wildlife viewing, living cultural traditions, and dramatic landscapes creates powerful memories for those who visit. The relatively small size means travelers can experience diverse environments within short distances, from mountain peaks to game parks to cultural sites. Rural life continues much as it has for generations in many areas, with the majority of Swazis living in small communities centered on agriculture and livestock. These communities maintain social structures and practices that urban modernization hasn't yet transformed. Spiritual connections to land and ancestors remain vital, expressed through rituals that honor those who came before and seek their guidance for present challenges. As Eswatini navigates pressures between tradition and modernization, between absolute monarchy and calls for democracy, between cultural preservation and global integration, it remains a place where ancient customs continue shaping contemporary life in ways that make it genuinely unique on the African continent and the world stage.
Number 6. Cattle theft and economic inequality in Eswatini. The cattle system creates problems alongside its benefits. Economic inequality becomes stark when measured in livestock. Families with large herds can afford multiple marriages and expand their social networks, while those with few or no cattle face barriers to marriage and community standing. This disparity has intensified as traditional and modern economies intersect. Young men seeking to marry face pressure to accumulate cattle at a time when many pursue education and urban employment rather than herding. The cost of acquiring enough cattle for lobola can seem insurmountable, leading some to delay marriage indefinitely or take desperate measures to acquire livestock. Cattle theft has become a significant problem, with organized criminals targeting herds and selling animals across borders. These thefts don't just represent property loss. They strike at the heart of family wealth and social standing, sometimes sparking feuds that can turn violent. Disputes over cattle ownership, inheritance, and bride price frequently escalate into community conflict. Families disagree over whether lobola was paid in full, whether cattle that died should be replaced, or how herds should be divided when families split. These conflicts can consume enormous time and emotional energy, sometimes requiring intervention by traditional authorities or modern courts. The system also creates pressure on land and environmental resources. As herds grow, they require more grazing area, leading to overuse of available land. This environmental stress has consequences for sustainability and can spark territorial disputes between communities competing for limited resources. Despite these challenges, the cattle system persists because it serves functions beyond simple economics, tying together marriage, status, family relationships, and cultural identity in ways that resist easy replacement by modern alternatives.
Number 5. Plain Royal National Park, White Rhinoceros Conservation in Eswatini.
Eswatini may be small, but it contains ecological treasures disproportionate to its size. Hlaine Royal National Park stands as the most significant of these, a protected area where visitors can encounter some of Africa's most magnificent wildlife in their natural habitat. The park covers substantial territory in the eastern Lowveld region, featuring savanna landscapes, water sources, and diverse ecosystems. White rhinoceros populations represent one of Hlaine's greatest conservation successes. These massive animals, second in size only to elephants among land mammals, faced near extinction due to relentless poaching driven by demand for their horns. Traditional medicine markets, particularly in Asia, treat rhino horn as a valuable commodity, despite zero scientific evidence supporting its medicinal properties. The result has been catastrophic for rhino populations worldwide. Hlaine has become a sanctuary where white rhinos receive intensive protection. Armed rangers patrol constantly, technology aids in monitoring animal movements, and strict access controls limit human contact. These measures have allowed rhino numbers to stabilize and even grow slightly, offering hope that the species can survive the poaching crisis. Beyond rhinos, the park shelters elephants, lions, and numerous antelope species. Bird diversity attracts ornithologists from around the world, with hundreds of species documented within park boundaries. The ecosystem represents what much of southern Africa looked like before human expansion transformed landscapes. Conservation efforts at Hlaine extend beyond simply protecting animals. Park management works on habitat restoration, combating invasive plant species, and maintaining water sources during drought periods. These activities require substantial funding, which ecotourism helps provide. Visitors paying park fees directly contribute to conservation work, creating economic incentives for wildlife protection.
Number 4. Umhlanga Controversy: Bare-breasted dancing and royal wife selection. The Umhlanga ceremony generates heated debate both within Eswatini and internationally. Critics call it exploitative, pointing to the young age of some participants and the bare-breasted dancing before the king as problematic elements in a modern context. Human rights organizations have raised concerns about consent, particularly regarding the possibility of being selected as a royal wife. From an outside perspective, the spectacle can appear to objectify women and reinforce patriarchal structures that limit female autonomy. The practice of the king selecting wives from the dancers strikes many observers as reducing women to prizes in a royal selection process. These critics argue that traditions must evolve with changing understanding of human rights and dignity. Participants and supporters tell a completely different story. They describe Umhlanga as a source of immense pride, an opportunity to celebrate Swazi identity and demonstrate cultural continuity. Young women speak of the honor involved in participating, the joy of performing ancestral dances, and the community bonds formed through the shared experience. For them, concerns about exploitation miss the point entirely. Being selected by the king isn't seen as degradation, but as elevation to the highest social status available in Swazi society. Becoming a royal wife means security, prestige, and a permanent connection to the monarchy. Families of selected women gain standing and benefits that extend across generations. The ceremony also serves educational and social functions beyond the selection of wives. It reinforces messages about cultural pride, community service, and intergenerational knowledge transfer. Older women guide younger participants, teaching them not just dance moves, but the meanings embedded in each gesture and formation. The Queen Mother's central role in the ceremony emphasizes female authority and the respect accorded to maternal figures in Swazi culture.
Number 3. King Sobhuza II and his 83-year reign. King Sobhuza II holds a distinction few monarchs in history can claim. He ruled for 83 years, one of the longest reigns ever recorded. He ascended to the throne in 1899 as a young man and remained king until his death in 1982, spanning eras from colonial subjugation through independence and into the modern age. His longevity allowed him to shape Eswatini's identity across generations. During colonial rule, Sobhuza II became skilled at navigating British authority without surrendering Swazi autonomy completely. He learned when to accommodate and when to resist, preserving enough traditional power to ensure the monarchy would survive into the independence era. His political acumen earned him respect even from colonizers who underestimated him. After independence, his decision to abolish parliament and establish absolute monarchy cemented his legacy as either a cultural guardian or an authoritarian, depending on perspective. He justified this move by arguing that multi-party democracy would fragment Swazi society along lines foreign to their traditions. Instead, he promoted a system based on councils and consultation that he claimed reflected authentic Swazi governance. Throughout his reign, Sobhuza II prioritized cultural preservation. He encouraged traditional ceremonies, supported the continuation of customs like polygamy, and positioned himself as the embodiment of Swazi identity. His multiple marriages and large family became symbols of royal vitality and the connection between monarchy and people. By the time of his death, Sobhuza II had fathered over 200 children with dozens of wives, creating a royal family whose branches extended throughout the nation.
Number 2. British colonization and Eswatini's independence in 1968. During the 19th century, British colonial expansion reached Eswatini's borders. The colonizers established indirect control, a strategy that allowed them to exploit resources and assert political influence without the expense of direct administration. For the Swazi people, this period meant constant negotiation between maintaining sovereignty and surviving under European pressure. The British weren't the only external force threatening Swazi autonomy. Geographic proximity to South Africa meant the kingdom felt ripples from every major event in the region. During the 20th century, as apartheid took hold next door, Eswatini managed to avoid being absorbed into that brutal system of racial segregation. This achievement owed much to diplomatic maneuvering by Swazi leadership, who understood that total isolation was impossible, but direct incorporation would mean cultural annihilation. Independence movements gained momentum throughout Africa in the mid-20th century, and Eswatini rode that wave. By 1968, the kingdom achieved independence from Britain, a moment of celebration that seemed to promise democratic governance and self-determination. King Sobhuza II, who had been ruling since 1899, remained on the throne, and initially worked within a parliamentary system. However, just 5 years after independence, in 1973, he dissolved parliament entirely. His justification shocked observers. He declared that Western-style democracy was incompatible with Swazi culture and traditions. From that moment forward, Eswatini became one of the world's few remaining absolute monarchies, a status it maintains today. Number 1. Cattle as currency. Lobola, bride price system in Eswatini. In Eswatini, wealth isn't measured primarily in money. Cattle serve as the traditional marker of prosperity, status, and social standing. The number of cows a man owns directly correlates to his position in the community, his marriageability, and his ability to form important alliances. This system predates colonial contact and continues to function alongside modern economic structures. Owning large herds demonstrates capability and responsibility. Cattle require land, knowledge, and constant attention to maintain. A man with many cows has proven he can manage resources and provide for dependents. This practical demonstration of competence carries more weight than abstract financial statements or professional credentials in many Swazi communities. The connection between cattle and marriage is particularly direct. When a man seeks to marry, he must provide lobola, a bride price traditionally paid in cattle to the woman's family. The number of cows required varies based on the families involved, the woman's education and status, and negotiation between parties. This transaction isn't simply purchasing a bride. The exchange creates reciprocal obligations and bonds between families that can last generations. Cattle given as lobola demonstrate the groom's ability to support a wife and future children while compensating the bride's family for losing her labor and presence. Families carefully track these exchanges as they create complex webs of obligation and relationship throughout communities. A man who paid substantial lobola gains respect, while his in-laws acquire both material wealth and social connection to his family.
Still curious? Then don't stop now. The next mystery is already waiting for you. Just click the video on screen. I saved it just for you. See you there, curious one.